Spawnwave may have abandoned you with video game news today because he decided to go to the beach with his family, but you know who didn't abandon you? Me. So hit that subscribe button if you're new, because we got some stuff I want to talk about today, including that good old July Nintendo Direct. But first, I got a little bone to pick with a company here, and that company is 2K, because every year we get NBA 2K, and it is a franchise that I have a very love-hate relationship with. I have to love it by the extension of it being the only NBA game that comes out every year, because monopolies and companies don't feel like it's worth the risk of making a traditional simulation-style NBA game. Now, of course, NBA 2K has been coming out on the Nintendo Switch. I checked out like the first few versions of it, but I quickly went back to the Xbox Series versions of the game because they just look and play a bit better. But with the Nintendo Switch 2, we had confirmation that NBA 2K26 would be coming to the system. So I was like, great, I can be my New York Knicks wherever I am and wherever I go, and I don't have to worry about anything. Yes, they're still doing a Switch 1 version of the game, but the Switch 2 version, that'll be good. That'll be in line with the current generation of the PS5 and the Xbox Series versions. Right? No. We learned this morning that according to the FAQ of NBA 2K26, that the version, the 9th gen version, as they are calling it, is only going to be on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam, which pretty much is saying that the Switch 2 version of NBA 2K26 is going to be the same as the Switch 1 version, which is, of course, a now 10 plus year old engine that hasn't been modified and is just roster updates year after year after year. Why in the name of God are you doing that? You're doing WWE 2K25 on the Switch 2, and it's obviously more so in line with the current gen versions. EA is doing Madden on the Switch 2 that is in line with the current gen versions, but NBA 2K26, no, we don't have enough time. Bro, nobody buy this. Nobody buy this. This is ridiculous. We've learned that if a game is on the Xbox Series S, it can come to the Nintendo Switch 2. Virtuos, a powerhouse developer when it comes to porting things, pretty much told us that in an interview, saying, yeah, they got a little something, but if a game can run on the Xbox Series S, then it could pretty much run on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it shouldn't really be that big of a problem. NBA 2K is not that graphically intensive. There's not that much stuff going on. It's not that hard to get that sort of game running on another platform. What is it, the 60 frames per second thing that's a problem? These character models are not that detailed. There's still ball clipping happening. And ball clipping sounds really, really weird out of context. But still, like, this is ridiculous. No, this is half-assed, and I will not be buying NBA 2K26 on the Switch 2. I know I could review it, unless something changes, unless this was just a misspoken thing, and the Switch 2 version is going to be the current gen version that is available on things like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles. Because if it's that same crusty Switch edition, like, there's no point in buying it. You might as well just buy the Switch 1 edition, which will probably be cheaper because, of course, the current gen versions are $70. So I hope there is some clarification that ends up happening. I know, who cares about sports games? I care about basketball games, pal. All right? Let's go, Knicks. Let's go, Knicks. But besides that, now that I feel relieved that I got that little rant out of the way, I tried to tell you, folks. I tried to warn you. I tried. And unfortunately, a lot of people did not listen to me. Because people have this thing in life where they believe what they want to believe. They hear what they want to hear. If something sounds like something that they want to hear and that, it makes them happy, that's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear anything that might be negative or goes against the grain with stuff like this. But I tried to tell you about this stupid Nintendo Direct happening this week. Of course, Nash Weedle lit the internet on fire by saying so this week in a tweet, and people jumped off the deep end. Everyone was making videos about the Nintendo Direct happening this week, and a day went by, we didn't get an announcement. Another day went by, we didn't get an announcement, but Nash Weedle was there to clarify things, and boy, oh boy, you can listen to whoever you want, you can believe whoever you want, but Nintendo Direct July from Nash Weedle. right now, this is how. So now he's saying that this was about the Nintendo Direct, which I had questions as to whether or not it was, because it was very vague, and anyone can make a very vague tweet. Right now, this is how things are between the sources. 3 this week, 2 last week. Nintendo, are you playing Urgente? Nintendo Direct. And he made a short on it as well. When he says last week, he's not saying like last week. He's saying the last week of July is when this is going to happen. So 3 people said this week, 2 people said last week. Maybe these people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Maybe your sources aren't as good as you thought they were. Maybe you don't know what you're talking about with such confidence. And so now everyone's like, oh, well, here, Nintendo may have simply moved the Nintendo Direct from last week to this one. Yeah, Hugo, because that's what they do. They just kind of willy-nilly stuff. There's no deals in place with developers or third-party publishers or indie developers about games that are going to be there. We, of course, have Nate checking in. I've said many times I'm not aware of a Direct for this week, nor will I play a guessing game for every week of the month. So Nate says, piss off, pretty much, pal. And, like, people are saying now, oh, well, it's because PlayStation announced the Ghost of Yotai event that's happening tomorrow on the 10th. Because, yeah, Nintendo really cares. Jesus Christ. Nintendo really cares about PlayStation doing an event for one game. For one game. A game that you're already aware of. So if you're not interested in Ghost, you're probably not going to watch this. You are also a PlayStation owner. So this isn't really, this is something that you're probably going to buy anyways, because, PlayStation has had a bit of a quiet 2025 thus far. So this is like their big game for the year, at least what we know of. I'm sure Nintendo and Furukawa are sitting there like, oh, damn it. We wanted to do this Nintendo Direct this week, but Sony is coming along and doing a Ghost of Yotai State of Play. Yotai, I don't know how to say it. I'm a gaijin. But at the end of the day, I tried to warn you people about false prophets. And look, I'm not trying to take shots at anyone. Okay, let's get that out of the way. People can be right about things. People can be wrong about things. I have been wrong about tons of things. But the thing is, like, when I'm wrong about something and when normal people are wrong about something, they will, take a little bit of accountability and maybe change up how they do things. But when it comes to video game news, and this isn't just with Nintendo and Directs in general, but it's with everyone. When it comes to video game news, it's always just moving on to the next thing. People make a name for themselves online, basically giving out information and saying things that people want to hear. Now, whether or not they have sources or not, I don't know. And you don't know. We're just kind of, a blind leading the blind situation here. And Nash Weedle may indeed have sources, but Nash Weedle has been right about things and has been wrong about a lot of things. And the things that people are wrong about just get swept under the rug, and we move on to the next thing. Is there going to be a July Nintendo Direct? I mean, it makes sense. Like I said in my video from earlier this week, it does make sense from the standpoint of, there's still a lot of games to be dated. We still need information on a lot of games. Is there going to be a big holiday game for the Nintendo Switch 2? Or are they just going to go with, Kirby Air Riders and Metroid and Pokemon Legends and stuff like that, which they probably can do, but you would like to think that there is something bigger waiting on the horizon. So it does make sense from a time standpoint. And it's one of those things where it's like, you look at a calendar, you pick a week, and if you get that week right, then all of a sudden you're an insider. Then all of a sudden you have all these sources and people start following you, because people are quick to forget about all the times you were wrong. And like I said, I have been wrong about a million things, but I at least try to take some accountability and, try to change up how I do things based on that sort of information, where on the internet, everyone has short-term memory. It's like Men in Black 2 or Men in Black 1. Look at the little thing, and then boom, your memory's wiped. And then all of a sudden, everyone's an insider. Everyone has all these sources. I do hope there is a July. Let's get that out of the way. I hope there's a July Nintendo Direct, because I will make money on that, talking about it and talking about the games and doing the predictions video. Like that's good money. That's fun money. That's quick money. But I also understand that, everything happens on its own time frame that Nintendo wants it to happen on. They're not just willy-nilly changing weeks. They're not just willy-nilly seeing PlayStation's doing something and, oh, we can't do anything now. It's not how it works, okay? That's not how it works. But maybe you think it works differently. And if you think that, I mean, you're wrong, but whatever, dude. You can think whatever you want. That's fine. Oh, also, Saudi Arabia raised the price of the Nintendo Switch 2. So, you know, thoughts and prayers to those in Saudi Arabia who are trying to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. That sucks. You know, what can I tell you? Buy it early, I guess. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. Let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.